Hello everyone, and welcome to the final part of Yoshi's Woolly World on the Nintendo Wii U. I am One Wild Sheep yet again, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take down Kamek. We're going to take down Bowser. We are going to save our Yoshi brethren. We're going to restitch the land back together, and everything will be hunky-dory. This is the final stretch, ladies and gentlemen, with Kamek's last stitch flyby, which is a frustrating level. Now, from the last part and this part, there is a massive difficulty spike. Everything has ranked up in difficulty. Now we need to deal with a lot of platforming. Lots of these platforms are flip in and out, which will drop us on a bottomless pit. We have to deal with enemies constantly coming at us from the right of the screen and the left of the screen later on, alongside all of the collectibles we need to find that are in very awkward areas. This is where the game's difficulty ramps right up, and rightfully so. We are at the end game, ladies and gentlemen. This is it. And as a big example of how annoying this stuff can be, like, a lot of this platforming isn't necessarily hard, it's just really tricky. For example, we now need to use this conveyor belt platform thingy to move from the left of the screen to the right of the screen, whilst dealing with these enemy things that are going to pop on by from the right of the screen, and dealing with Kamek occasionally trying to drive by us and bash us in the face with his PlayStation magic, which actually he doesn't really use his PlayStation magic, so he just sort of tries to bash us in the face. So whenever you see Kamek, try and boop him on the head or avoid him entirely. It doesn't really matter which you do, because no matter what, Kamek will continuously come from the side of the screen. You cannot stop him from returning and coming back from the side of the screen. He is a constant threat throughout the entire stage. And for the most part, these bird enemies that come from the right of the screen, they're not that big a deal to deal with, because they're very slow moving. You can just easily eat them, gobble them up, and use them as ammunition. And I have to say, the soundtrack in these next couple of levels, well, not so much, it's not so much epic, but the soundtrack is really good, and it really gives you that sort of end game, we're at the end of the game sort of feel. It gives us the whole, okay, we're about to take down Bowser, we're heading straight to his base, and we are going to free our friends, because spoiler alert, Bowser is the bad guy. Gee, I wonder whatever gave anyone else that idea. Now, I'm surprised how they're not all that upfront about Bowser being the bad guy of this one, though, to be perfectly frank. Just because everyone knows Bowser's the bad guy. I mean, he is the big bad of the series for the most part. But in terms of, they kept him behind closed doors a lot in this stage, you know, in this game. The fact he's the bad guy, it's not really brought up all that much, which I find really surprising, because normally in games they're just like, oh, this is the bad dude, go get him right from the get-go. But no, like, from the beginning of the game we see Kamek, but we never see Bowser. We never hear much of Bowser. We don't even know what he looks like. We don't even know if he's in his baby form or in his adult form. I'm going to spoil it right now, he's in his baby form because it's a Yoshi game, let's face it, we always fight baby Bowser as Yoshi. But I digress. And also we have, what would it be without the final series of levels, without the final set of transformations? And of course this transformation, we've already seen it way back earlier on in the playthrough, we've seen all the transformations at this point. And same rules apply, just shoot everything you see and try to go as fast as you can. This is probably the hardest transformation in the game in order to get through successfully, because you do need to be on point, you need to shoot things as quick as possible to get through. And it's not difficult, it is definitely not difficult to get through this shooty section. But, you know, if you don't know what you're doing, you can probably have a couple of issues, especially collecting that last piece of wool that is just there. And honestly, one thing I want to know, but I don't actually know, is if you run out of time but you still collect the wool at the end of those sequences, do you keep the wool piece, or do you have to redo the whole sequence, and does it count as a death? I'm kind of curious about it, because I actually have no idea how they deal with the time running out, because I've never had the time run out on those sections for me. You know, it's easy enough to get through without ever running out of time. But I digress. Anyway, this is the hardest point of this level. We do need to do a vertical platforming challenge, and as I said in the previous part, vertical platforming, I'm not too fond of it. By the way, that Happy Flower is the hardest one to find in the entire game. It's covered by a cloud. That's a dick move, game developers. But it's a vertical platforming sequence. I don't like these too much, just because if you make one mistake, boom, you're all the way at the bottom. You gotta do it all again, you know. So you gotta stay on your toes. You gotta try your best to not get clipped by too many enemies. And Jesus Christ, this is a cruel platforming challenge. Like I said, there's such a large difficulty spike in between the last part and this part. It's pretty unreal, actually, all things considered, because, you know, this game, like I said, this game has been easy throughout the entirety of it. You know, it's had challenging moments, obviously, but for the most part, it's been an easy-going ride. But once you hit this point, the game's difficulty just goes, nope. If you want to get through this game, you gotta try, yo. Well, not so much try, you just gotta do... You gotta try reasonably more than you have been throughout the course. I'm just... I don't know. I like it in a way because it promotes the fact you're on the final stretch of the game, but I don't like it because, Jesus Christ, the difficulty spike is just... It's not a natural progression, you know? When the game's difficult... Oh, Jesus Christ. Yeah, I was meant to collect all those beads, so I died on purpose there. But when a difficulty spike is this much of a ramp, you know, if it doesn't evenly ramp up throughout the course of the game, it really bugs me because it's so jarring when you get to a certain area and suddenly... Oh, by the way, hard area. You know? I can't think of too many examples where this happens, but I know there's loads of games that have this happen that I've played, and every single time it's annoyed me, because why would you make a sequence this hard in this game, you know? It's not hard by any means. Well, it's hard, but it's not too difficult, you know? If you have any sort of platforming prowess, you'll be able to get through this without any problem. And of course, this is a kid's game at the end of the day, you know, so they got to make it so the kids can get through it. Of course, I say that, but back in the day, I used to have games. Oh, no. You don't see games like Contra being made anymore. Oh, back in my day, we had to work for our endings on games. I'm glad that's not the case anymore, because, Jesus Christ, I'm a lazy person. I don't like difficult stuff. Well, I like difficult stuff, but I don't. You know what I mean. I like the challenge, but I also don't like if it's too much of a challenge for me. Ugh. Basically, I'm glad there's no live system in this game. That's what I'm getting at. Oh, God, I'm so glad live systems are basically a thing of the past nowadays, because it's such an archaic game design thing. But I digress. With beating that stage, we now have access to Kamek Yoshi, which, duh, looks just like Kamek. And of course, that pipe is the way to the final battle of the game. We're now heading to the final boss battle. Time to take care of baby Bowser. Later. Because, first off, what do we have to do? We need to go and teleport to the end of the game. So as you can tell, I've unlocked the final Bowser by here. I'm skipping past to the end of the game before we take care of the final battle because we have one more special level to do. And there's an entire credit sequence after the Bowser boss battle, the final boss battle, so I wanted to clip this in before I take out the final stage. So we're not quite there yet. We're not dealing with Bowser just yet. Now we're gonna do a Skeleton Goonies lava lair, probably the hardest level in the game. Probably. I'm not actually sure if I could consider this the hardest because it's just tricky more so than actual difficult. But what you really have to do is you need to run as fast as you can across these sinking spires on this lava platform. And jump from these bird skeleton wool thingies to, you know, just bounce on each of these things from one to another until you reach the end, dodging all the fire plumes and collecting all the collectibles that aren't even hidden, really. They're all directly in sight, with the exception of maybe one or two collectibles that are actually hidden behind one of these spires that you basically just need to be patient on, and eventually it'll show itself, you know, folks. This stage took me a good few attempts in recording, I'll be perfectly honest. It is well, it is quite a challenging level. It can give someone a run for their money. But if you know what you're doing, it's not too bad. It's definitely completable, for God's sake. You know, you can easily get through this with enough practice and whatnot. Like, my first playthrough of this, I got through the stage without any issues. I beat the stage, no problem. But, fortunately, when I was recording, the recording curse kicked in, so I died like 60 times. None of those deaths you're seeing, by the way, so you don't have to worry about that. But we do need to be careful, because from this point in the stage, from the right of the screen, we are going to come across loads of blogs, and they're just going to start running at us, screaming "blarg" whilst in the progress of doing so. So we do need to be a bit careful. We need to be on our toes. And throughout the course of this, you're going to want to try and keep as many pieces of wool as possible, because we will be easily using these up really quickly. And due to the fact that all the floor sinks whenever you stand on it, and due to the fact we're in the air for the majority of the stage, we do need to be careful, just because it's so easy to run out of wool. And considering at the final stretch and we actually need to use wool to get the last happy flower, you know, you just basically need to be careful, that's all I can say. Be conservative with your wool, don't start throwing it at any random enemies. You know, just make sure you have at least one piece for when you get through that green pipe at the end. And there we go, that is World S completed, done and dusted. Now it's time to finally play the final battle. Take down Bowser Koopa, Bowser Koopa, and lay waste to his woolly lair. Yeah, so like that guy there, he's talking about the thumbs. That's exactly what I was talking about. Whenever you're doing levels where you have to stay in the air for a long period of time, it really starts to cramp up your thumb. At least it does in mine, and it drives me mad. I've had worse cramps playing this game than I have playing Mario Party, believe it or not. At Mario Party, I'm literally just going, like this. This is why I'm like pressing buttons at Mario Party. You know, it's... Actually, I'm even quicker than that, because I have to use my thumb. I can't really go that quick with just the palm of my hand. But you get the point, you know, I'm mashing the button in Mario Party. But I still find it more cramping to use the button in this one, because it's so rhythmically you need to push the button. I digress, though. It's time to beat the final boss. It's time to take down Bowser! And show exactly how it's meant to be done. Remember, Yoshi, don't forget your enclosed instruction book. You know, that's actually a game console I've always wanted to really play. Not game console, just a game I wanted to play, like the Hotel Mario. I've always wanted to try that, but I've never got around to it, and honestly, I don't see myself getting around to it anytime soon, because I don't want to buy a CDI. I don't want to buy it. It's that game, you know. It's one of those games that I just watch the cutscenes on YouTube, and it's just ridiculous. Like, one of my favorite scenes in Hotel Mario has to be, like, this one cutscene where, don't forget, all toasters toast toast. And I'm just sitting here like, no, Mario, no, that's not how it works. Toasters toast bread. They make toast from bread. You pleb. You know? But I digress. This is the final stage, so it's time to start getting my conversation on track. After this very ominous, I love this lift, I have to be honest. I love this lift going up into this main chamber, because it's just... It just really shows your end game stuff. But you see those 4 Bowser statues that we need to deal with? Well, what we need to do is actually, as you notice, they're color-coded. We need to get wool of the correct color in order to chuck at each individual column. For example, let's just move on back in here and chuck at the red one, for example. See? White doesn't work on the red. We need to get the red wool in order to collect, in order to progress and activate the Bowser statue to enter the final area, you know. It's actually quite a neat way to do a finals level, because this promotes exploration, it promotes looking around for the correct way, and it's all good, you know. I like it. I really do like this final stage. It's not really challenging all that much, you know. It's very easy to get through, but just due to the fact the whole game is really an exploration sort of deal, so this really gives me that exploration vibe. It's like a Metroidvania without all the things that I don't like about a Metroidvania. Getting lost. Sorry, I don't like Metroidvanias. I get lost in them all the time. So, that's pretty good, But yeah, there's 2 red Shy Guys down here, for example, and we're gonna want to grab them in order to use later down the line. And just to demonstrate, you can actually damage those blogs and stun them temporarily by chucking 3 wool pieces at them. I don't recommend doing this, because you need to save your wool. You need to use as much wool as possible to get through the stage. And of course, you're gonna sometimes do silly things like I tend to do, where you end up wasting the wool like an idiot. So just be careful with that. Just keep at it. Keep collecting as much wool as possible without wasting the wool that you need to progress. For example, I'm gonna hit... Oh, fuck. Why? Yoshi, why? Why did I do that? I'm an idiot. Like, I wasn't meant to chuck that red wool, but no. In fact, one little technique that will help you out during the course of this stage is if you start aiming your wool, you know, by pressing ZR. If you press the B button, you will actually cancel out the aiming, which will actually swap out the wool that you're currently holding with one of the other wool pieces in the queue behind it. So basically, you can switch out. You don't need to use the red wool if it's at the front of the queue. You can switch out to like the black one or something in the back, which I do heavily appreciate. You know, folks. So just keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on the wool you grab hold of, and you should be fine for the most part. Hey, this reminds me of Gallagher. Let's kill them all. Yay, death. Now, for these Gallagher, like Shy Guys, just boop all of them, and it will actually cause a piece of wool to appear. It's kind of an easy one to miss, so just be careful of that. And we do want to jump down in the middle column. Not the left column, not the right column, the middle column. If you jump to the left or right, you'll die. Trust me. So go to the middle column, and you'll gain access of a happy flower, which is probably one of the more, should we say, dickish happy flowers in the game. And yeah, we'll be able to jump down into this room, fill out the red statue, and progress on back. Now, you don't actually teleport to the area you've been before. I've just been editing and cutting things out to make this level a lot as streamlined as possible to watch, you know. And for this area by here, there's actually two ways to go about this area. The first way, obviously, is to kill all these guys, but we're not doing that right away, because we want to use this pack of Shy Guys to get up to this hidden alcove at the top of the screen. Because in here, it's time for another happy flower, and an angry one too, that just goes rolling off. So yeah, just there's lots of hidden areas like this you need to keep an eye out. You know, it's the stage itself. Actually, I'd say this is probably one of the easiest final stages I've ever played in a game. But the challenge is really trying to get from point A to point B, keeping your wool. You know, using your wool properly, and trying not to really die too much. Like 90% of my deaths in this level are my own fault. It's just the equivalent of me just going, I'm an idiot, and I blow myself up with a bomb or something. It's usually how I go about dying in this one. So the stage itself is fairly simple. But I digress. Let's move on down into the green pipe, which means we do, now that we have the green wool, we actually have one piece of wool left to get, the blue wool. Now the blue wool is, it's not too far away from this room actually, but it is a little bit mean. Because it is hidden in an actual hidden room. It is hidden away in an area where normally you'd expect a happy flower or something to be hidden. So it can be a bit mean if you're playing through this game, because I know plenty of people who got stuck in this level because they can't find the final piece of wool. And if you're wondering where it is, I'm going to show you in a bit. But first we do want to use this giant wool pendulum anyway to move over to the other side after using that button. I love the fact those buttons, I guess they're kind of like P-switches. I love the fact they're still a staple of the Mario franchise now, because there's so many good things you can do with those. But I digress. Anyway, go down here, boop this mook. I said boop this mook. Boop the mook, god damn it. There we go. I'm too slow. God. And that's the last wall piece, so yeah, we're almost done. Of course, be careful of these guys, because as when we first saw them, they are instant kill. And they will home in to wherever you're standing at any current time. A good way to sort of deal with them is just try and stay as high as possible, so just do that. And you should be safe from them. But, you know, just be careful. That's all I can really say. Be careful. And lure this guy out of the water before we start moving, because we do need to go to the left by here, duck underneath the ocean, and up into this hidden room. And there's the blue wool we need for the final statue. Of course, as I said previously, be careful with your wool piece, because you're going to do some bloody ridiculous thing like I'm doing again. Look, gah. Why did I do that? It's like, you can tell I even realized it in the middle of the recording, because my Yoshi, I just like stood there for a few seconds like, did I just really do that? It's... Oh, I'm an idiot. I am an idiot. Don't do things like that, people, you know. make sure that you keep at least one of the wool you need before you progress onto a different area, because otherwise you're just going to be kicking yourself, all things considered. Let's be perfectly honest. But I digress. We are almost done with the stage, believe it or not. It's time to move on to the final area. Let's just fill out these mini Bowser statues. Of course, if you notice, I have been keeping the checkpoints free. Now, what I sort of recommend is whenever you clear out one side of the room, then you grab the checkpoint on that corresponding side. So that way, you'll have a checkpoint ready just when, you know, at the perfect time. So, for example, I grabbed the checkpoint on the left of the room when I got the white wool and the red wool done. And I'm about to grab the checkpoint on this side of the room now that I got the green and blue done, you know? So that's what I sort of recommend, just to get decent checkpoints for the course of this, just in case you die. But it's time to head in and deal with Bowser Jr., baby Bowser even himself. You know, I actually really do like this sequence by here, where what we basically need to do for the most part is avoid Kamek and move up basically to Bowser's main room, his main quarters. And from time to time, Kamek will pop in and he will shoot his PlayStation magic at you. And if his PlayStation magic hits any of these purple blocks, they will transform the purple blocks into enemies. So basically what I recommend is going up to his face, lick him, to stun him temporarily, which will allow you to progress further without having to deal with many mooks. Of course, you do want to be quick about it, because otherwise, well, you can get clipped by the laser blast. And if he hits you with the laser, his PlayStation blast, it will still do damage. It'll do a decent amount of damage as well, so just be a bit careful about that, and just try to keep your distance for the most part. It's, you know, it's a neat little build-up. It's very simple, however, so let's just go take down Bowser himself.
Where is Kamek? Why isn't he home?
Young Master Bowser, here I am, safe and sound.
You wait. Why so wait? What have you been doing? Give me that yarn. We're gonna use this yarn to make a big new castle. Who are you? This my yarn, mine. I'm not giving up to anybody.
Little Master, allow me to assist.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen, from the get-go, boop Bowser with our piece of wall. This will get him tangled up, allowing you to ground pound him in the head from the get-go. Once you've done that, he will move into the background of the scenery and start shooting fireballs. Just move from the left to the right of the screen to deal with this, and it's easy enough to deal with. And of course, it's very choreographed, you know, it's very obvious where he's going to hit the fireballs. However, his last attack will be powered up by Kamek, so what you want to do is move out of the way and make sure the fire damage doesn't actually hit you. Phase 2 is basically roughly the exact same thing as Phase 1, he's just a bit quicker and he's a bit more aggressive. And for the most part, this is a really fun boss fight. It's pretty easy for the most part, there's no real reason why you should die. But when you get to the final phase, the biggest difference is when you get to the final sequence, he's going to transform into a large Bowser, Junior Bowser Baby Bowser. A big baby Bowser. Big baby. And he will start ground pounding and shooting out fire blasts. Just wait for your opportunity, throw yarn when it's ready, and Bob's your uncle.
Young Master, are you alright? Yoshi, how can you do such a thing? Wait, I have the perfect idea. Let's use the power of this yarn. Yes, that'll be perfect.
Oh god.
Hey, hang on. What's going on here?
Oh god. Oh god. What's happening?
Now you've made me angry.
And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the final battle against Bowser himself. Now, to start things off, Bowser will throw the yarn pieces into the air, and these yarn pieces are going to be our ammunition for the most part in his stage. And when he jumps, you will be able to use the little launchers on the floor to move behind him. When you're behind him, you will be able to chuck yarn balls at his giant pieces of yarn that are floating above his head. Those are his power source. You want to hit them, and that's basically all she wrote. Just keep chucking at them. And only chuck one. One will be enough to destroy each of these yarn power sources. The biggest threat about the stage, though, you'll have to deal with is his shockwaves, his fireballs, and what have you, which, honestly, they're quite easy to deal with. And for the most part, collecting the yarn is also very quick and easy as well, because one piece of giant yarn ball that you eat will give you 3 giant yarn balls to chuck at baby Bowser. It's easy enough to deal with. And honestly, I love this boss fight. It reminds me so much of Klonoa, which is a game on the original Wii and PlayStation 1, which, if anyone hasn't played, trust me, I recommend it. It's a pretty fun 2.5D platformer. Its final boss is very similar to this. Of course, this sort of reminds me of the final boss of the original Yoshi's Island as well, because they had a Giga Bowser as well that you had to fight. The only difference is the big Bowser in that one is a million times more intimidating than this guy, because that one actually looks terrifying. This guy, he's not so much. He's just a giant, cute wool thing, and I wonder, have Nintendo actually made plushies of these things yet? Because I would love Nintendo to make plushies of these. It would just be perfect. Anyway, moving on to his attacks, he can slam you, which very rarely hits. Just move to left or right and you will be able to avoid that. He'll jump and cause fire shockwaves, which, as long as you... they're very easy to tell where they're coming from, so you can just move to the left or right whenever necessary. And he will also shoot out a breath of fire. His fire breath is the strongest attack that he has. You do need to be careful of that, because if that hits, well, it'll hurt. Duh. It's fire, after all. And that's all she wrote, really. It's quite an easy boss battle. After a while, the floor will start to give way and you'll start having bottomless pits to deal with. But if you're quick enough at beating him, Bob is your uncle, you should have no problems whatsoever.
The yarn rambles from Baby Bowser and scatters all around. Suddenly, it comes together and knits a bunch of Yoshis back.
How dare you do this to young master? You will pay for this one day. Eek!
Reunited, the Yoshis return to their island once more happy and cozy. Hopefully Baby Bowser will take some time to think about what he's done.
And there we go, ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of Yoshi's Woolly World. An absolutely fantastic platformer game on the Wii U, and a perfect, well not perfect, but a really good sequel to the original Yoshi's Island, which, for me, it's a sequel to the original Yoshi's Island, because all the other games in Yoshi series I've sort of ignored. I'm not a big fan of them. But this is a fantastic game, it's a fantastic platformer. Amazing presentation. I love the cutesy art style. I love the way everything looks. The graphics are phenomenal for it. The music, while I don't remember many tracks from this game, the soundtrack is perfect for what it is. It really fits the atmosphere of the game. In terms of level design, the level design is amazing, with the exception of some of the more labyrinthy levels. And I'd say the biggest issue I sort of have with this game is some levels tend to have really big difficulty spikes, and some levels are just a bit too easy. You know, the game's very inconsistent with its overall difficulty. It's a little bit tricksy to deal with because of that reason alone. But for the most part, I love this game. I would recommend it to anybody who's a big fan of Nintendo, a big fan of platformers, or anyone looking to get into Yoshi. I'd recommend this game too. And it's definitely one of those games on the Wii U that I must say is a must-have title. which, to be fair, is quite a few games now. I have, like, out of the current gen systems, which at the time we're recording PS4, Xbox One, and Wii U, they'll change. This is going to date my commentary somewhat, but at the time, I'd say the Wii U has the strongest library out of the 3 systems, you know. But, I digress. This has been the game. It's been a fantastic ride. It's been a bloody long-ass time in the making. This LP's been over 6 months of production, so, I'm kind of glad to get this done so I can start moving on to other projects I really want to get to. So, thank you all for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you all enjoyed. Don't be sheepish. And I will catch you all again. Also, we do have one extra part to show off because now that I got 100% in this game, there is one additional level that unlocks that I will be showing off. So, I'll catch you all in the final extra part. And, yeah. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you after. Bye!